So good morning everybody. Can you hear me all right? No sir, can you hear me all right? Yeah, not very good is it? Thank you so much for making the trip today. It's a hell of a long way to come down to Cornwall, isn't it? And it's a very, very important day for us all. This is an experimental part. This is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be firing the rocket with an 800 psi feed into the canvas pack. We have never done this before. The rocket team believes it's going to be all right. Okay, we're going to find out, aren't we? So there is an element of excitement and an element of risk here. From our point of view, it's a step that we have to take because we've got to develop this quantum motor. And we've got to develop it eventually to 1,000 psi feed pressure, so 800 it is today. And as you know, experiments can go wrong, so that's why we're going to be locked in the bunker. Who have we got here today? Well, we've got the Bloodhound engineering team, we've got Bloodhound sponsors, we've got Bloodhound ambassadors who look after the schools, and of course we've got our good friends, the media. The Bloodhound team are normally spread all over the country. This is an extraordinary project. We all drive fast mileages every week to keep the thing going. And for many of the Bloodhound people, it's an opportunity to come together for the first time, as we've taken on a lot of people in the last month. An important point to understand here is that this is our project. It's not my project, it's not Andy Green's project, it's the team's project. And it's our job, collectively, to see this thing through to success. Now, I'd like to identify one or two of these team members so you know who to talk to. Mark Chapman is the chief engineer. I don't know if Mark's right here. No, he's not, right? You want to look out for Chris Kirby? Chris? Yeah, he's got his hand up there. Chris looks after all the education side of it. Richard Knight looks after our public relations. Ron Ayres is our key aerodynamicist. I saw him earlier. Ron? No, escaped. Connor LeGroux looks after our manufacturing. Chris D looks after our assembly. And Tim Ritz from Cosworth is, of course, running the Cosworth side of the relationship, which is absolutely essential. I'd also like to make special mention of our good friends at Cisco. What we're doing from here is a live web feed, and that coverage is going all over the world. The coverage is getting absolutely phenomenal. We've heard this morning that the Daily Telegraph have decided to host it live, and as also the Weather Channel in the US. And this is just a start, because as this project develops, we're going to do a lot more broadcasting live, and of course we'll be broadcasting live from the desert as well. So you start to see how this thing comes, and you can share it all as it goes. It's important to understand that the sponsors and the team here have all taken tremendous risks, and there are a lot of personal stories, so you need to talk to all these people, because these sponsorships are just not easy. People in these companies have to take considerable risk to actually back us, and everybody's really made some kind of career-risking sacrifice to be a part of this project. It's never been a Mercedes-secure project funded up front. Every day is actually a fight for survival. So there's a great lot of people who've come together to do this. With your permission, I'd like to take a few moments to explain where we've come from and where we're going. The world land speed record has been held by Britain for 70 out of 113 years. The thrust teams have actually held it now for 28 years against all comers. It's a bit like a sort of very small version of the Olympics. It's a massive intellectual and physical challenge. And we're much on the same sort of scale in aspiration in terms of the Olympics, and we're going to get an enormous response. We think that our website will grow to something of the order of 3,000 million page views per annum. That's where we're heading. When we broke the sound barrier in 1997 with Thrust SSC, that generated enormous internet exposure, 59 million visits. That was in dial-up days. That's 300 million page views. 300 million page views is 30 times the size of a top Formula One team today. And it's believed that in those days, way back in 1997, Microsoft people say that we were the 5th largest website in the world. And the legacy continues, and 400,000 people a year come to see Thrust SSC in the museum in Coventry. So if you find yourself in the Midlands with a bit of time on your hands, drive into the centre of Coventry and have a look round. There's an enormous enduring interest and legacy. The story about all this is that in 2006 the Americans began to feel a very credible challenge, and we decided what we would do is head them off at the pass by building the most advanced and fastest land speed record car ever built. Sadly, the great American record breaker Steve Fossett lost his life in a flying accident, and his US challenge went no further. So we set up to do, literally, the ultimate car. And one of the first stops of this, was a meeting with the MOD Minister, Lord Drayson. We asked for the engine support, but we didn't get that. But what Drayson did give us was the important strategy. He said, we have an enormous problem in the Ministry of Defence. We can't recruit engineers. It's an absolute nightmare. And he said, to overcome this, we must look back at what actually happened in the 1960s in the Cold War area, when we had a fantastic aerospace industry, which created these wonderful aeroplanes, like, for instance, the Concorde, the TSR-2, the Vulcan bomber. And all these planes were flying over these schools, and the kids were getting very excited by what was going on. And that stimulated a large number of engineers and scientists and flight crews. So what the minister wanted was us to create an iconic project to run through all the schools and create a new generation of engineers. And the education team has just done this, and we have no less than 5,155 schools following Bloodhound Guides. Huge, huge number of kids. And there are further 95 schools in South Africa, and many, many more schools worldwide, because the project's now being followed in 217 countries. The idea behind this is very, very simple. The land speed record rules are minimal. And what this means is that all the land speed record cars are completely different. So you want to look at Roscoe McLaren's website, you want to look at the North American Eagle website, you see all these cars are completely different. If they're different, then the technology doesn't transfer. If the technology doesn't transfer, then we can make it all available to the schools. So that's what we set out to do. And the interesting thing is that the military and the space people and the Formula One people can't do that, because these guys have to work in a world of complete and utter secrecy. So we're absolutely unique. It's never been done before. And when this car runs, we will be downloading into the internet 500 data channels of information from every single run. And over in South Africa, the MTN sponsors there are putting up 5 60-meter high radio masts in order to take the data from Bloodhound and put it into the internet. It's quite extraordinary what's going on. It's been an incredibly tough project to do this, and we started in 2007, and it consists of 7 simultaneous projects, all running in parallel. And it's very high risk. If we try to run these projects in series, it would take something like 25 years. So what have we got to do? We've got to first of all design the world's first 1,000-mile-an-hour car. And the team in Bristol have done this. It's taken nearly 49 years of work. And the car has the performance of a modern jet fighter. In fact, Bloodhound goes 200 miles an hour faster than the Eurofighter does at the same altitude. And to develop the Eurofighter took 29 years. We've got to obtain and develop the power plants. We've got the EJ200s, we've got 3 of those engines, and we've got Rolls-Royce's support from the main board, which is terrific. So that's a tick in the box for the engine. The Falcon rocket is something completely different. You can't buy one of these on eBay. So basically what we've got to do is develop it from scratch, and that's what Daniel Job and the team have been doing. It's extremely complex, and it's very difficult to do. And so we've had a long period of development on all this, and now today's the big day when we're actually going to fire it off. Well, we're going to see just what happens. If anybody tells you that rocket development is simple, just point them in our direction. It's bloody difficult, and it costs a fortune. Third thing we've got to do is find a desert. And we found the Haxkeen Pan Desert in South Africa, and we cleared 12 miles of track. When I say cleared, we have 300 people working, and they have picked up 6,000 tons of stones. We've also removed 1.6 kilometers of causeway road, which went across the middle. That's now all done. There's a bit of tidying up to do now, but more or less they've done it, and so they can move forward. So we've got the best course in the world. Number 4, find the driver. Well, that's the easy one. We're lucky enough to have Andy Green. Andy's the most qualified land speed record driver of all time, and so we're very fortunate to have his services. Number 5, set up the education program. This has been a huge, huge project. And the important thing to understand is that the education program is not just an add-on to the project, not a nice thing to do. It's absolutely essential. Without the education program, Bloodhound is nothing. It's really simple as that. We all realize that the education program is absolutely essential. We've got 5,155 schools, and that's going very fast. We started growing about 100 schools a month now. And we need ambassadors to look after these schools. We've got 500 volunteer ambassadors, but we probably need something nearer 1,000. So if anybody here today wants to be an ambassador or is interested in doing that, please come and see one of us and let us know, because we'd like to sign you up. And in the UK, all sorts of interesting things are happening. Entire counties are now booking up to run Bloodhound for all their schools. This started off with Northamptonshire, and Nottinghamshire is next. They've just signed. Number 6 is the communication program. We've got to set this thing up. And you've been following Bloodhound on our website. You probably know that as of yesterday, Nick Chapman's new website went up. So we've now got a new website, and it's up and running. And when we start running operational next year, both here, where we do in Cornwall, where we do our initial runs, and later on in South Africa, we'll be broadcasting on a daily basis. So you'll be able to follow all this. As I say, we're working towards a global audience of 3 billion page views per annum. Then we've got to finance this lot. And we've got to finance it through the worst recession in Britain in 50 years. So let's talk about money. The total expenditure on this project so far, as of this morning, is £8.33 million. We spent 1.2 million on education, 7.1 million on engineering. And frankly, every penny has been earned in the hardest possible way. Banks want guarantees for loans, don't they? Well, who doesn't want a guarantee? Everybody wants a guarantee. We can't give them a guarantee, so no loans. Shareholders, well, they get very worried about the high level of risk running a project like this, and so there's no way we can create a profitable business plan. So that's out. So the funding is very hard graft from sponsorship and from public support. And the public support for the project is on a biblical scale. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. We run about 150 exhibitions a year up and down the country, and the public send in the money at the rate of about £25,000 every month. It's just absolutely fantastic. Most of those are donations, and you can put your name on the tail pin, and we have, at the moment, 13,000 names on the tail pin. We have to run this project with very, very tough financial disciplines. So our only overdraft facility is £5,000, that's all. Okay, so it's very tough. We can't waste money paying backs, can we? So, and the discipline is very, very simple. We've got to bring in more money faster than the engineers and the education team can possibly spend it. In fact, the education team have achieved wonders by being more or less self-funding now, because what's happening is the schools are so pleased with what's being delivered that they're prepared to pay for it. And that's absolutely brilliant. And there's one more point. The project is being developed in the fastest and most logical way. The variable that has to give is the money. So in other words, the design team are very sensible. They push this thing through as fast as they possibly can. But what we've got to do is bring in the money faster than they can spend it. And the money is the bit that we've got to flex. We've got the first big name sponsor, which is Rolex, which is a very big and magical deal. So if you're thinking of buying your nearest and dearest to watch for Christmas, you know what to do. We also have a wide range of medium-sized sponsors like our friends at Goodrich, STP, Vertical National, Raynham, and Promethean, and around 160 product sponsors like Supergan. And we have small-sized sponsors like Callaway. And then, of course, we have the British car public, which, as I say, sends in the money at about £25,000 a month. Now, the big question facing us is this: can we finish the car in can we finish the car in time? According to my plans, we need £3 million to finish the car. We can fund over £1 million of that. So that's a good start. And we have deals in process right at the moment for a further £2 million. Will they happen? Well, it's looking quite good. It really is looking good. But in this game, you don't count any chickens before you've actually squeezed the hen to make sure the hen's got some eggs. And nothing, of course, counts until you've actually got the money in the bank. It's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. But the real situation is we may have still a huge fight on our hands. And the very sane accountants will always tell you that the cost of expanding a company is generally seriously understated. And this is when a company goes bust. We have, last year we expanded the company by 100%, and now this year we've got to expand by another 150%. So where do we go now? The engineers have got to get the car assembled now, and large parts of the car are beginning to appear. We have to be in operation in South Africa by September next year, and that means we need the car finished by July. It's one hell of a fight. Always remember that with these projects, when the car or aeroplane looks very nearly finished, it's probably only halfway there. It's going to be a hell of a fight. We've got a brilliant committee team. We're going to see how all this develops all along the way. The rocket program is incredibly sensitive. At this stage of the project, we know the aero drag of the car. We know the rolling resistance. We know the power output of the EJ200 jet. We have a good feel for the weight of the car. The only variable that's left now is that rocket motor. And that rocket motor basically has to deliver its power. It's not just about running a rocket motor and getting a bloody great noise and getting sheets of flame out the back of it. It's got to not only deliver its power, 27,000 pounds of thrust, but it's also got to be safe enough for Andy to drive. We don't know how today's rocket firing will go. We will probably find that we've got a long way to go with the rocket program. If it goes wrong today, which it could go wrong today, that's just one more hurdle that the organisation has got to overcome. And the South African end of the project is absolutely crucial now. The desert's nearly complete, and the MTN system, with all those 60-metre high radio masts, is going up, and they've got to be in operation there by the end of February to test it all out. Several weeks ago, we signed an agreement with the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. They're providing us with 5 highly skilled fitters, a complete workshop, and they've been very, very helpful in actually getting us operational here. And in case you're concerned about us misusing Army assets, we're paying. Now, on Monday, something really interesting happened. We signed an extraordinary Concordat agreement with the Ministry of Defence. This is absolutely unprecedented. The Ministry of Defence have a big problem in terms of recruitment of engineers. They're very keen to see this develop. And so they're prepared to help us with the project. Not quite sure what this help is going to mean. I suspect we'll have to pay again, but their willingness is absolutely exceptional. And this is going to have very, very major consequences. We're going to learn a lot, because the objective in 2013 is to get the car out there and running supersonic before the rain comes in late November or December. So there are a lot of big questions on this. Can we get the money in time? Can we land those deals? Can we complete the car in time? Can we get to South Africa in time? Can we go supersonic in 2013? Only time and our rocket test today will tell us. So you'll be able to follow all the cliffhangers as all this happens. And watch out, because these projects are cliffhangers. Every day something goes wrong. Every day it seems that the project's in terrible trouble. And the objective, of course, of the team is to get out of that trouble and keep it all moving. So you'll be able to watch it all on the internet. If you want to be an ambassador, please come and see us. We need another 500. Thank you very much.